Cast your minds back a couple of weeks to UFC 267, an unbelievable event with a main card for the history books. We saw 5 epic bouts with 2 title fights, but when the dust settled, there was one fight that fans couldn't stop talking about, and one fighter that 2 weeks later is still making headlines. The name on everybody's lips is Khamzat Chimaev, so why not take a closer look at the most hyped fighter in recent memory? Kia ora whanau, I'm Kyle from the Combat Sports Network, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the casual corner behind the Brawler. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to CSN, comment below and let us know which fighter you'd like to see us cover next. Let's get cracking. Headlines and highlight reels aside, who is Khamzat Chimaev? Khamzat Hizarovich Chimaev was born on the 1st of May 1994 in a small close-knit village in Chechnya, Russia, a place known for its high level of corruption and poor human rights records, currently governed by the infamous Ramzan Kadyrov. Khamzat is one of 8 children, having 4 brothers and 3 sisters. You might have noticed the scar on Khamzat's top lip. If you haven't, Conor McGregor certainly has. During a Twitter squabble back in 2020, the Notorious One responded to a tweet from the UFC promoting an upcoming Chimaev fight with 2 simple but very cutting words: rat lip. Fans had speculated as to the origin of the scar, hypothesising that Khamzat might have had a cleft palate. The truth is that 2-year-old baby Khamzat fell down the stairs in his childhood home, ripping his top lip, knocking out some teeth and breaking his nose, leaving him with a very distinctive permanent scar. In 1999, at the age of 5, the young Borz would make his first step into the world of mixed martial arts when he started training wrestling at a small club in Chechnya, mere meters from his home. Wrestling was a big deal in his village. From a young age, boys are pushed into wrestling and taught that they need to train and be tough. Chimaev noted that in his village, if a young boy didn't train, they'd be made fun of. Chimaev would go on to hone his skills there for the next 12 years, where he'd also train other grappling-based art forms such as combat sambo, judo and Greco-Roman wrestling. In 2013, at the age of 19, Khamzat would escape war-trodden Chechnya as an asylum seeker and join his older brother in Sweden, followed shortly after by his mother and other siblings. Khamzat would continue his wrestling training at a local club in Kalmar, going on to win wrestling gold medals at various Swedish national championships between 2015 and 2018. Khamzat had dreams of representing Sweden at the World Championships and the Olympics, but due to issues with his citizenship papers, he was unable to do so. He noted that a guy that he defeated 10-0 during his time on the local national wrestling scene had wrestled at the Olympics. What might have been? Wrestling was obviously his first love, but he was always drawn to MMA. His childhood idol was one of the all-time GOATs, Fedor Emelianenko. But Khamzat credits the Jose Aldo vs Conor McGregor featherweight title fight at UFC 194 as the push he needed to make the leap from wrestling to MMA. In 2017, at the age of 23, Khamzat made the move to All-Star Training Center in Stockholm to begin his MMA training alongside 3-time UFC heavyweight championship challenger Alexander Gustafsson, Ilir Latifi, Jimmy Manuwa and Reza Madadi, among others. Khamzat's fighting record is perfect. He's had 10 fights, winning all 10 by stoppage. None of his opponents have made it out of the second round. He's finished 6 of the poor souls, unlucky enough to be matched up against him by TKO and 4 by submission. He's fought 13 rounds, winning all 13 and notching up 11 takedowns and 5 knockdowns. He's landed 224 significant strikes in those 13 rounds and has only absorbed a meager 15. In his 4 UFC fights, he's only been hit once. Even though his competition hasn't been the highest caliber of fighters, the dominance over professional fighters is still properly impressive.
You're the Borz, you know. I'm become the Borz now. I eat everyone. I'm gonna till I get killed, bro. Never gonna stop.
Khamzat wanted to make his professional debut shortly after joining All-Star, but his coaches convinced him to dip his toes in the amateur circuit in order to get comfortable in the cage. He had 3 fights before turning pro and unsurprisingly won all 3 by stoppage. His first amateur opponent was the European MMA Championship finalist with a 6-1 record. Khamzat dominated him before finishing him halfway through the second round by Darce choke. He finished his second amateur fight by guillotine, also in the second round, and knocked out his third amateur victim by TKO in under a minute of the first round. Chimaev made his pro debut in May 2018. He picked up where he left off in his amateur career, finishing his first fight in the first 5 seconds of the second round, stopping his opponent with a barrage of punches. In his second pro fight, he made his debut at middleweight and finished his next victim by first round rear naked choke submission. Shortly after, Khamzat would be signed by Middle Eastern MMA promotion Brave Combat Federation. He had 4 fights for the promotion in just under a year at both welterweight and middleweight, winning 3 by TKO and 1 by Darce choke. These 6 dominant finishes were more than enough to get the attention of Dana White, giving the Chechen Viking a well-earned call up to the big leagues. Khamzat's rise since his UFC debut in July 2020 has been meteoric. He's gone from being a relative unknown to one of the most talked about fighters on the planet in just over a year, and for good reason. This absolute savage has had 4 fights during his short tenure, earning 4 stoppage wins in 2 weight divisions. He's the epitome of anybody, anywhere, any weight. He's earned Performance of the Night bonuses in all 4 of his UFC bouts. He has the quickest turnaround between wins in the modern UFC era at 10 days and has the quickest 3-fight win streak in UFC history.
Well,
we'll
you
see.
have, all right, well, you have
I'm
certainly,
ready for everybody.
You've certainly earned any opportunity that is coming your way. Khamzat Chimaev, congrats on a big win tonight.
Thank you.
Chimaev made his UFC debut at middleweight against Welshman John Phillips. Khamzat led with a kick to the body and immediately shot for the takedown, successfully taking Phillips to the ground 5 seconds into the fight. He dragged him over to his corner with ease and proceeded to pummel him for the next 4.5 minutes. The round was so one-sided that one of the judges scored the round 10-7 in favour of Chimaev. 10 seconds into the second round, Khamzat shot for the double leg, taking Phillips to the ground once again. John's fate was set in stone at this point. Chimaev sunk in the Darce choke shortly thereafter, earning his first impressive UFC victory. 10 days later, Khamzat would drop a weight class to take on debutant and rising Northern Irish prospect Reece McKee. What a welcome to the UFC. Reece McKee came into the fight with a 10-2-1 record and was expected to test Chimaev, but it wasn't to be. Khamzat threw a straight right to open the fight and immediately faked a shot, working his way behind Reece and taking control of him from behind. He lifted him up like a baby and carried him the full width of the octagon before slamming him to the ground and locking in the famed Dagestani handcuff. He gained full mount and unleashed some devastating ground and pound, causing the merciful referee to step in and call a stop to the fight after 3 minutes. Less than 2 months later, Chimaev would move back up to middleweight to face UFC veteran Gerald Meerschaert in what would be the quickest finish of his career. Khamzat applied the forward pressure from the get-go, leading with a kick down the middle. He continued to move forward, and once he had Gerald backed up against the cage, he unleashed a hellish right hand which folded Meerschaert like a deck chair, leaving him snoring on the canvas.
Same same thing. It's people like me, but I work harder.
After this impressive victory, Chimaev was then scheduled to fight one of the welterweight division's top contenders in Leon Edwards in December 2020. Unfortunately, Edwards would have to withdraw from the fight after testing positive for COVID-19. The fight was rescheduled for January 21, but it wasn't to be, as Khamzat too was forced to withdraw due to COVID-19. The fight was scheduled a 3rd time, this time in March, but Chimaev was still suffering from lingering effects from his COVID-19 infections and again withdrew from the ill-fated bout, seemingly announcing his retirement from the sport at the same time. Luckily for us, Chimaev was able to get the better of COVID and made his highly anticipated return against the 18-7 hard-hitting Jingliang at UFC 267 at the end of October, just over a year after destroying Meerschaert. Many fans thought that the knockout artist Jingliang would derail the Chimaev hype train. How wrong they were. Chimaev shot immediately, lifting Lee up and carrying him over to the onlooking UFC president Dana White, holding a full-blown conversation whilst casually holding Jingliang aloft. He attacked Lee's head and body while controlling him against the cage, taking his back, flattening him out and unleashing some gruesome punches to the side of Lee's head. Has there been a more impressive and dominant start to a UFC career? What's next for the Borz?
You think smash me? Yeah, of course, brother.
Too slow.
Unsurprisingly, Khamzat is keen to keep the momentum going and has spent the last couple of weeks calling out anyone and everyone ranked above him.
They're gonna give me. If I kill everybody, what are you gonna do?
His manager said that he's been asking him for a fight every day since UFC 267, and after hearing that Jorge Masvidal has pulled out against former potential foe Leon Edwards, he texted his manager saying, "Call UFC now, we travel tomorrow." However, it's unlikely that Leon will accept the challenge for a 4th time, with most people thinking that he's likely to sit it out and wait for a title shot. He's also called out former title challenger Gilbert Burns and number 9 ranked Belal Muhammad. Burns responded on Twitter seemingly accepting the fight, whereas Belal has recently been matched up against 5th ranked Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Front Kick Online and some other sources have reported that talks are in progress to finalise the fight between number 2 ranked Gilbert Burns and Khamzat Chimaev, although nothing is set in stone at present. Out of left field, a surprise entrant has thrown his name into the mix. None other than the legendary Nick Diaz has requested that the UFC give him the chance to stand opposite Chimaev. However, Khamzat scoffed at the idea, saying that Nick's too old and that he'd rather fight his younger brother Nate Diaz. Whatever the case may be, there's no denying that Chimaev is a phenomenal talent, and I for one am looking forward to the rest of his career, in whatever direction it may take. I'm all aboard the hype train, and I genuinely think that although there might be ups and downs along the way, Chimaev is destined for UFC gold.
Do you look at the welterweight division and see anybody that can challenge you right now? I mean, we need to find someone that can slow you down.
Doesn't matter, everybody. I'm gonna smash everybody. How many fighters in the MMA division? I'm gonna smash all the whole division.
Well, that's my deep dive into the life and times of Khamzat Chimaev. Let me know who you'd like to see him face off against in the comments below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the Combat Sports Network. Give CSN a follow on Instagram and Meta, and check out our website www.combatsportsnetwork.co.nz and sign up for access to a plethora of homegrown combat sport events and fights from around the world. I'm Kyle, this is the Combat Sports Network. Until next time, ta-da.